guys, welcome back to another video. My name is Becky, this is Let's Talk About Mental Health Awareness, and today we're going to be talking about the warning signs of self-harm and also things that you can do if someone that you love or someone that you know is self-harming. Just some things to know, be aware of, and some things that you can do to support that person. So basically, I've been a self-harmer since I was like 13, I'm now 27. I self-harm a lot less often than I used to, but it's still a thing in my life. And if you'd have told me at 13 that making a decision to start self-harming, I'd be doing it 14 years later, I'd have been like, yeah, nah. But the point of this video is to make awareness of maybe the warning signs, things you should look out for, and then, as I say, some things that you can do to help. So basically we're going to start with the warning signs, and this can be things like baggy clothing or thick clothing. This is usually either as in like things with long sleeves, so like long sleeve tops, long sleeve jumpers, cardigans, hoodies, anything like that with long sleeves that stay all the way down, don't really get rolled up. That's a big warning sign, especially if you're in the middle of summer and someone's wearing like a really thick hoodie and you're like, well, it's boiling, like it's 30 degrees out there, why are you wearing a hoodie? That was a big sign that I'm surprised no one picked up with me. I was at school when I first started self-harming and no one noticed, even though everyone around me would be in short sleeve shirts and I'd be there in my long sleeve shirt, my big thick jumper. Like, I would never show my legs, I'd never show my arms. If I got changed, I'd have to hide when I did it. But if you notice someone never shows their arms or never shows their legs, it could just be a self-esteem issue. They're not comfortable with that part of their body, but it can be a warning sign, is that inability or that unwilling to show that part of their body. Especially arms. I know it's a bit of a stereotype to say that people only self-harm on their arms, because they certainly don't. But it is a common place that people self-harm. So that's just something to be aware of. Some other things, it could be things like unexplained cuts, unexplained bruises, regular broken bones, anything that seems like a bit weird. Like I used to say, like, oh, I fell in a thorn bush, like, which was just, why would anyone believe that? But then no one doubted it either. Like, it's stuff like that. Or the cat scratched me. My dog's clawed at me when we were playing. And of course, they can be genuine reasons. Like, someone might have just genuinely fallen into a thorn bush. But if you see that with some of these other things on this list, then maybe you'll be aware that there is something deeper going on. Or at least it's worth double checking that it's not. It could be another thing like requesting a lock on their door, or being very private and secretive suddenly. They might not want you in their bedroom, they might not want you to go through their stuff, they might lock themselves in the bathroom. Anything like that is a sign that someone is just being secretive and being private. Like, that's a warning sign, definitely. Especially if, like, and it's normal for a teenager to want, like, a lock on the door, I'm sure. Like, they want a bit of privacy. But again, if you see it with these other warning signs on the list, then you know that there's probably something going on. Other things could be things like finding bloody tissues, bloody towels, anything like that. And if you've got a teenage girl, it could be their period. Let's just be honest. Like, they might be embarrassed to say that if you ask them. Again, regular injuries, and again, like, blamed on random accidents or just stuff that doesn't really sound plausible, or especially if it's happening regularly. If you find things like razor blades or broken razors with the blades missing, knives, craft knives, anything like that, that could be a warning sign, especially like knives or razor blades. It could be that they are into art and that's why they have like a craft knife, but why would you have razor blades out of a razor if you're not cutting? It's like a bit weird, unless you're doing something like skateboard grip tape regularly or like anything like that. But what I'm trying to get to the point is, these are all things that could be explained away normally, but at the same time, if you see more than one or two of these together, there's probably something amiss right there. So it's definitely worth, if you see any of these in someone you know, just check in with them. And this is what I want to get on to next, is what to do if you find out someone is self-harming, because this is big. Like, your response to this is going to really affect their journey with the self-harm, especially if you're a parent, and also how they can recover from it. You can be a lot more harmful than you realise, I think, to people. I know people have been with me, like, they've made me promise to stop and I knew I couldn't make the promise. And I would say, I can't promise you that. Well, no, you have to. I love you. You can't do it. You've got to promise me you'll never do it again. And this is why I've got a beef now with promises, is like, if I know I make a promise, I have to know I'm going to keep it. Because I hated the feeling of being forced into a promise that I knew I wasn't going to keep, just to keep a loved one happy, because they didn't react very well to my self-harm, which I completely get. It must be really heartbreaking to find out your child is self-harming. Like, I can't understand that. I know, like, I've not been in that position. But as the person on the opposite side of it also, this is what I want to get onto again, is like the anger thing is not going to help. Don't get hysterical, don't get angry and hostile, don't punish the person for self-harming. Don't also be dismissive or cruel about it, or mention the severity of their wounds. It might not be cuts, it could be burns, it could be broken bones, it could be hair loss. Some people also will pull out their hair, and I can't remember the name of it, I'll put it here somewhere. I've never been able to remember the name of it. But there's things like this, so like as I say, things to look out for: cuts, bruises, burns, broken bones, any injuries that just aren't easily explained or that you haven't witnessed yourself. As I say, do not comment on the severity of the wounds, whether they are minor or bad. If they are bad and you are concerned, then sure, you need to say, like, these wounds scare me, you're going too far, what can we do to lessen the severity? But if someone has done scratches or lighter wounds, I don't want anyone out there being like, that's not bad enough, you're not really trying hard enough, it's attention seeking, you're not cutting yourself badly, or you're not hurting yourself badly, so it's not an issue. That is irrelevant. The severity of the self-harm is irrelevant. Sure, if it's to an extreme degree, that shows as an extreme issue, but at the same time, just because someone might just scratch them, not just, but someone would scratch themselves, say, compared to needing stitches, it doesn't matter. That is not a representative of that person's problem, that person's pain, and what they are going through. Like, I know when I first started, I scratched mainly, and then the wounds got more and more severe as I went on, because it took more and more to get the same level of release. And that's an issue, but I think if people have been like, oh, they're not very bad, and I know this has been said to people I know, and it's actually pushed them into doing it worse, because they feel like, oh, well, people aren't taking this seriously, like, I'm really doing this because I'm in pain and I'm struggling, and people are just like, well, that's not bad. And it really is encouraging to that person for them to do it to a more extreme degree, and that is the last thing you want if you find out someone's self-harming. You want to be lessening that severity. So what you do want to do, you want to provide support and love. You don't want to take that away if they self-harm. You want to lower their stress levels and their arousal levels at home, at school, if they're working, anything like that. And the key one, communicate. Like, that is the big one. If you can be honest with someone and say, I'm upset and I'm scared that you were self-harming, I love you and I don't want you to hurt, and you can be honest about the fact that you're upset and you're scared, that's not a bad thing, it's the way you do it. If you go in angry and hostile, as I say, it's going to encourage more privacy, it's going to encourage more secrecy, that person hiding it from you, and they might just become more, well, they will, I know they will, they'll become more sneaky. If you start saying, I'm going to check your arms every day, they'll cut somewhere else. You need to be open and encouraging that they are honest with you, and that if they need help, they get help for that cut. So what are some things that you need to know about self-harm if you're in this situation? Number one, self-harm is not usually a suicide attempt. People may think it is, especially if it's on the arms or wrist area, but usually self-harm is an attempt to manage pain and actually stay alive instead of trying to kill themselves. Not saying all self-harm attempts are not suicide attempts, because some certainly will be, but it's to a much lesser percentage than the amount is just trying to cope with something. People are trying to deal with their emotions, trying to deal with their pain, and that is the opposite of a suicide attempt in a way. It's their way of coping with it. But if you do believe that a cut may be a suicide attempt or anything like that, you should ask, definitely. And if it is, I would really recommend getting them to maybe A&E, going to see the crisis team. If they have CMHT, if they're a teenager, get them to the community mental health team, or the CAMS, the Child and Adolescent Mental Health Services, depending on their age. Basically, if it is a suicide attempt, that's a real big issue. Self-harm is a big issue, but suicide attempts is something that will only get worse over time, I believe. From my experience and what I've seen of other people, it just progresses and snowballs. So if you find out someone has tried to kill themselves in any way, I would recommend getting them help. But first of all, I would recommend talking to them about it and actually getting their point of view, why they've done it, what was going on, are they going to try again, how do they feel about life in general and living. Like, they're all key things you need to know before you make a decision. If someone's done it once and then regrets it and thinks, I'm never going to try that again, that was awful, still get them help, because they've reached that point, but also they're not at immediate risk. If you believe someone's at immediate risk, then you have to get them help, simple as. They might not be very happy about it, like I've not always been very happy about people getting me help. I don't think I'd call it help at the time either. I think I'd probably call it touch. Being in hospital and being sectioned is not nice. But that's not always the outcome. There are other outcomes in hospital lobbying sections, like you can get counsellors, you can get psychology, you can get therapy. There's CBT, CAT therapy, DBT. There's so many different treatments out there for different illnesses and different causes of self-harm that there is help. There's definitely help out there. And that is a key thing to know. And actually in treatment for self-harm in like rehabilitation places, I think there was one place that had like a 75% of their people that had been in their program had actually pretty much stopped self-harming, or their self-harm had lessened to such a degree that it was not an issue. So there is help. It can happen. People can recover, and that's a really good thing to know. Like, that's key. And you need to let that person know that there is hope for them. You don't want to say, well, this is your life now, because if you say that, it will be. If you give someone hope and encourage them, they're a lot more likely to flourish in that environment and feel like, yeah, maybe there is hope, maybe I can stop. Because another thing you need to know is you cannot stop that person self-harming. They need to decide to do that on their own, because you can take away anything that you think they may use, and I promise you they'll find something else. You could leave them in an empty room and someone will find a way of self-harming. Like, if you want to do it, you're going to do it. So don't punish them, don't belittle it, don't make them feel like they can't be honest with you about it, because if they do, you're going to get angry. I get the anger, especially as a parent. Like, it must be awful to see your child hurt themselves. You just want to take that pain away for them, and you can't. But you just can't force it. You can't give them ultimatums. You shouldn't bribe them, because it will not work, not in the long term. And I'd be surprised if it worked in the short term, and to be honest. So I don't know. You can support them without encouraging it too. That's a good thing to know. There's things like harm reduction, which is something they use in drug addiction, where they give addicts like clean things to use for their drugs use. So, for example, certain tinfoil that isn't toxic, like the stuff you get in shops for, say, heroin, or they'll give you clean needles or spoons or whatever you need. Basically, it's not encouraging the behaviour, it's making sure that the people who are going to do that behaviour anyway are safe. You can't stop someone from doing it until they are ready to stop doing it. So it's just supporting them to that point. That's all you can do. If you want to do harm reduction, best thing to do in that regard for self-harm is things like buy bandages, buy butterfly strips if they're cutting deep enough to need steri strips but not stitches. There's like bandages and like dressings, tape to put around the bandages, antiseptic cream or spray, plasters. Like, there's a lot you can get that will keep this person safer when self-harming. I can't say safe because that varies on the person, but safer. And surely that's a good thing. If you're worried about this person self-harming, surely the goal is to reduce it, and if they are going to do it, keep them safe while they do it. So that is a big thing. It's different. I know it must be difficult to feel like you're encouraging that behaviour, but I promise you harm reduction works in that it keeps people safer. And that is like anyone's goal, I think, with self-harm, is to keep someone safe. And basically they just need love, support and encouragement to stop. Get them the help they need. Depending on their age, there's different things available, there's different services available, there's treatments available, there's a lot that can help out there. I'm going to put some links to stuff in the description below, and then maybe some of it will help someone. I'm going to leave also some helplines. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you guys tuning in. I hope this has helped someone. And I just want to thank you all for watching again. Like, you guys are amazing. Stay cool, stay safe. Peace. Oh, me again. Sorry. Would you mind just clicking on this little link here, or this link like here, and subscribe? Maybe, I don't know, we'll put it here. Please. Thank you. Take care, guys. Bye.